Behind smiling facades and charitable foundations, the architects of deception built sanctuary cities brick by malevolent brick. For decades, their towers rose unchallenged. Their influence spread like poison through society while you, yes you, felt that persistent thorn in your consciousness, that something was wrong, that discomfort, that restlessness in your spirit. Divine marking, the fingerprint of God upon your soul. Your selection was deliberate. Your positioning is strategic. Your awakening is timed for this precise moment. They believed their sanctuaries impenetrable, their secrets sealed behind walls of influence and intimidation. They laughed at accountability, mocking justice while twisting its mechanisms to serve their purposes. But they never factored you into their calculations. God has commissioned you with authority that transcends their power structures. The sanctuaries they built to hide wickedness will become theaters where divine judgment unfolds through your actions. Their walls of protection will transform into witness stands. Their chambers of secrecy will convert to courtrooms where truth echoes with thunderous finality. The hour of reckoning has arrived, and you are its herald. Remember the first time you glimpsed behind the curtain? That initial crack in the facade exposing something rotting beneath. The moment clarity struck like lightning, revealing connections others remain blind to. Their sanctuaries surround us, masquerading as pillars of community service, gleaming corporate headquarters with sustainability slogans, government buildings with lofty inscriptions about justice, educational institutions shaping minds of generations, media empires controlling information flow, financial strongholds determining who prospers and who struggles. Look closer. See their true nature through your divinely enhanced perception. These structures weren't built overnight. They're architects, planned methodically, constructing layers of protection. They established networks of mutual protection, ensuring whistleblowers found themselves discredited or isolated. They positioned operatives throughout oversight systems. They created illusions of transparency while building shadow systems where true decisions occur. Their sanctuary cities operate on multiple levels. Physical locations where evidence vanishes, digital realms where communications disappear, social structures where accusations against the protected die before gaining traction. Financial labyrinths, where wealth extracted from the many consolidates with the few. Most devastating was your realization of their controllers, individuals whose names rarely appear in headlines, whose faces seldom grace public stages, yet whose influence shapes nations. You've seen the puppet masters, you've traced the strings, you've mapped connections explaining decades of seemingly disconnected events. What appeared random now reveals itself as orchestrated. What seemed chaotic shows itself as calculated. What presented as progress unmasks itself as predation. It came without warning. Perhaps during ordinary activity, driving, showering, preparing a meal, perhaps during sleep, jolting you upright, perhaps during quiet contemplation when the veil between worlds thins. The call, not audible to physical ears, yet more distinct than any earthly voice, not visible to physical eyes, yet clearer than any written text. A knowing so profound it restructured your understanding of reality within moments. You have been chosen. Information downloaded into your consciousness, insights about specific sanctuary cities, their vulnerabilities, their corruption. Knowledge you couldn't possibly possess through natural means, names, locations, connections, tactics. The blueprint of deception laid bare. With this download came equipment, enhanced discernment, strengthened resolve, spiritual protection against their countermeasures, powers of perception that strip away facade, words that penetrate defenses, timing that positions you precisely where needed. The commission arrived with crystal clarity, transform their sanctuary cities into courts of divine judgment. Where they built structures to conceal, you will establish transparency. Where they created spaces to escape accountability, you will institute justice. Where they designed systems to silence truth, you will amplify revelation. This moment of commission sealed your purpose with authority transcending earthly jurisdiction. You stand with backing from the highest court, deputized to execute judgment no earthly power can overturn. Alert, Chosen One. You already love the daily drops across all 4 Astral Atom channels: Obsidian, Chosen Chronicles, Astral Atom, and the new one, Legacy Forged. We're growing fast, building an unstoppable media network they can't erase. But the truth, it's hidden, twisted, censored. Your heart still knows what's real. That's why you're here, because you've felt the simulation glitch. You're not waiting for permission. You're ready to reclaim your power. The Obsidian. Inner Order is for the full-time chosen. Weekly Zoom calls, hidden teachings, psychic warfare strategies, tools they don't want you to have. It's time to remember. Link in description. Your real life begins inside. The moment arrived with perfect timing. You entered their sanctuary, perhaps a boardroom, courtroom, newsroom, or academic hall, places they believed impenetrable, protected by layers of gatekeepers and intimidation. Yet you walked in with authority that required no introduction or credentials. Something in your countenance, your unwavering gaze, your centered presence registered as different, as dangerous. Words formed on your lips with precision beyond your natural eloquence. Truth flowed with surgical accuracy, targeting specific deceptions they believed safely hidden. Evidence appeared through channels they thought controlled. Witnesses emerged from shadows they thought emptied of resistance. Their first response: dismissal, condescending smiles, patronizing explanations to make you doubt your perceptions. Then, as your resolve held firm, their tactics escalated. Accusations of misunderstanding, suggestions of mental instability, implications of hidden agendas. But something unprecedented occurred. Your words carried weight that their standard countermeasures couldn't dispel. Your presence altered the very atmosphere of spaces they believed they controlled. Others in the room, some cowed into silence, some complicit through fear, some who sensed wrongness but lacked framework for resistance, felt something shift. The faces of those in power registered the unthinkable: uncertainty, recognition that your insight penetrated their barriers, realization that you saw them, truly saw them, beyond their titles, beyond their personas, beyond their accumulated power. For the first time in decades, fear flickered in their eyes. Not manufactured fear they broadcast to control populations, but genuine fear of exposure, of accountability, of judgment long deferred, but now imminent. Their response came swiftly, with coordinated precision that confirmed everything you'd recognized about their networked power. Suddenly, your reputation faced assault from unexpected quarters. Financial pressures materialized from seemingly unrelated sources. Opportunities disappeared, doors closed, digital footprints altered, records vanished. The message: back down or be destroyed. What they failed to understand, power aligned with deception, will always falter against truth backed by divine authority. As their attacks intensified, so did your supernatural protection. Resources appeared through unlikely channels. Platforms emerged where none existed before. Evidence you needed materialized through seeming coincidence. Most significantly, allies stepped forward. Others whose eyes had been opened, whose spirits recognized the same call, whose positions provided strategic advantage. These allies brought complementary gifts, some with technical expertise to document digital evidence, some with legal knowledge to navigate systemic barriers, some with platforms to amplify truth, some with financial resources to sustain the mission, some with specific insider knowledge of particular sanctuary cities. The battle escalated beyond individual confrontation to systematic exposure. Each revelation brought stronger counterattacks. Each truth spoken aloud triggered more desperate attempts at silencing. Each sanctuary city exposed deployed its full arsenal of defenses. Yet something unprecedented unfolded. Their once impenetrable walls developed visible fractures. Their coordinated narratives contradicted each other under pressure. Their controlled opposition accidentally revealed connections. Their intimidation tactics failed against those protected by higher authority. Most telling, portions of their own rank broke formation. Individuals within their systems, witness to decades of corruption, found courage to step forward, bringing documentation, testimony, insider confirmation that what you proclaimed aligned with hidden reality. The spiritual atmosphere shifted. What they had constructed over generations began crumbling in months. What they had hidden behind complex barriers stood exposed in stark simplicity. What they had accumulated through manipulation started slipping through their fingers. For the first time, they faced opposition they couldn't buy, couldn't intimidate, couldn't eliminate, couldn't discredit. Opposition arising simultaneously across multiple fronts. Opposition operating with insight into their playbook. Opposition backed by authority they couldn't comprehend. Their sanctuary cities, once symbols of their untouchable status, transformed before their eyes into venues of exposure, of accountability, of judgment. Behind their walls of protection festered corruption, beyond ordinary imagination. Not merely financial fraud, though their systems diverted trillions from productive use to concentrated control. Not merely political manipulation, though their influence purchased policy across party lines. Not merely media deception, though. Their narrative control shaped public perception for generations. Their true corruption runs deeper into the fabric of human experience itself. They constructed systems to deliberately harvest energy through manufactured crisis, keeping populations in perpetual states of fear, outrage, and division, emotional states that generate specific energetic signatures they collect and utilize. Suppress consciousness, contaminating inputs that would naturally elevate human awareness beyond their control mechanisms. Redirect worship, subtly shifting allegiance from divine authority to human institutions, celebrities, and products, channeling devotion to their hidden hierarchy, invert natural law, systematically promoting artificial over authentic, synthetic over organic, virtual over real, isolation over community, dependency over sovereignty. Their sanctuaries conceal evidence of these operations, the research, technologies, psychological tactics, and spiritual manipulations. Their hierarchical structure protects those at the pinnacle from facing questions about ultimate objectives. Their compartmentalized systems ensure most participants never comprehend the full design they serve. Their information control establishes parameters of acceptable debate that exclude fundamental questions. They define credible discourse, ensuring threatening revelations remain relegated to conspiracy theory regardless of evidence. They utilize architectural designs, sound frequencies, electromagnetic fields, and symbolic language that impact human consciousness through pathways most remain unaware exist. They've hidden their influence over daily life, from food supply to education, entertainment to medicine, financial systems to religious institutions. Their influence doesn't merely affect these systems. In many cases, it designed and controls them entirely. This comprehensive corruption explains why exposure through conventional channels proved impossible for decades. The very mechanisms that might hold them accountable had been designed or captured to prevent precisely that outcome. Until now. Until you, until this moment when divine intervention bypasses their systems entirely, operating through individuals selected and equipped specifically to penetrate their defenses. Against their multi-layered deception, ordinary perception fails. Their systems neutralize conventional opposition. Their contingency plans account for standard whistleblowers, journalists, and investigators. They never prepared for you, armed with supernatural discernment that cuts through their most sophisticated illusions. Your divine equipment includes penetrating sight that perceives beyond physical appearance, credentials, and rehearsed personas directly, accessing true nature, intentions, and spiritual alignment. This sight instantly distinguishes authentic from artificial, regardless of how convincing the counterfeit appears. Pattern recognition beyond sequential logic, connecting seemingly unrelated events into coherent understanding. Where others see random occurrences, you perceive deliberate sequence. Where others see coincidence, you recognize coordination. Where others see separate issues, you identify unified strategy. Intuitive radar, registering dissonance between stated intentions and hidden agendas, alerting you to deception before your conscious mind processes evidence. It manifests as physical sensations, emotional signals, or sudden knowing that precedes. Rational analysis, revelatory, dreams and visions, providing intelligence inaccessible through conventional means, showing past events exactly as they occurred, exposing present operations invisible to public scrutiny, revealing future intentions not yet implemented. Discernment of spirits that instantly identifies influences operating through individuals, organizations, and information. This discernment cuts through sophisticated psychological operations, recognizing manipulation regardless of packaging. Strategic. Timing, positioning you to witness crucial evidence, encounter key witnesses, speak truth at precisely the moment. Systems are vulnerable. This timing proves perfect in retrospect. These supernatural capacities explain why your perspective threatens their power structure. Their systems can neutralize opposition operating through conventional perception. They have no effective countermeasures against divine insight deliberately deployed to expose their operations. Divine strategy rarely mirrors human expectation. Rather than dramatic confrontation that triggers their prepared defenses, your approach employs strategic infiltration, accessing their systems while maintaining spiritual integrity. This infiltration requires positioned identity, occupying roles that provide legitimate access to spaces, information, and individuals central to their operations. These positions might appear humble by worldly standards, yet offer crucial vantage points from which to observe and document their activities. Discerning alliance with others, strategically positioned throughout their systems, individuals who may not fully comprehend the cosmic significance of current events, yet sense wrongness and seek correction. These allies provide critical intelligence, verification, and connectivity across compartmentalized operations. Tactical patience, distinguishing between observation phases and action phases. During observation, you gather evidence, map connections, and document patterns without triggering. Security protocols. You identify defensive weaknesses, control vulnerabilities, and communication blind spots for later exposure. Strategic silence. Recognizing when revelation would be premature, when truth spoken too early would be neutralized before reaching necessary. Audience. This timing requires supernatural discernment that transcends human strategic calculation. Spiritual protection, During proximity operations, maintaining internal purity while navigating corrupt systems, ensuring that close contact with deception neither contaminates your perception nor compromises your commission. This protection operates through conscious alignment with divine authority, regular spiritual recalibration, and practices that clear accumulated interference. Your infiltration strategy targets specific vulnerabilities, compartmentalization, gaps where information transfers between segregated systems, creating documentation that connects otherwise isolated operations. Human factors within their hierarchy, individuals experiencing doubt or awakening conscience who become access points for truth to flow outward. Technological overconfidence leading them to store critical evidence in systems they believe impenetrable, creating repositories awaiting proper timing for exposure. Arrogance blind spots, where they fail to secure operations they consider insignificant, not recognizing connections to their sensitive activities. Accelerating timelines, forcing them to bypass security protocols as their agenda faces resistance, creating documentation oversights and authentication vulnerabilities. This infiltration proceeds unseen, gathering momentum beneath apparent calm. By the time they recognize the penetration, their sanctuary defenses will already be compromised beyond recovery. Divine judgment operates through impeccable evidence, comprehensive, irrefutable documentation that exposes hidden operations. Your role includes collecting this evidence with supernatural precision. This collection process involves pattern documentation, capturing connections invisible to conventional analysis, recurring symbols, consistent methodologies, signature tactics identifying unified operations across seemingly separate events and institutions. These patterns, once compiled, reveal coordinated intent no legitimate explanation can account for. Timeline construction, establishing precise sequences exposing deliberate causality behind events portrayed as unrelated. These timelines reveal planning, foreknowledge, and coordination that demolish official narratives. Testimony, preservation, securing first-hand accounts from witnesses positioned throughout their systems, individuals who observed specific aspects without comprehending the larger design. When compiled, these testimonies create comprehensive maps of deliberately compartmentalized operations. Connection mapping, linking financial flows, communication patterns, resource deployments, and policy implementations across organizational boundaries, supposedly operating independently. These connections expose unified control systems behind institutional diversity, authentication, protocols, ensuring all evidence meets standards exceeding conventional legal requirements, establishing chain of custody, verification methodologies, and corroboration withstanding sophisticated attempts at dismissal. Secure storage, maintaining evidence beyond their reach, utilizing preservation methods transcending their most advanced interception capabilities. Your evidence collection benefits from divine insight, positioning you to document precisely what conventional investigation would miss: the crucial meeting, the revealing communication, the mask-dropping moment, the pattern-confirming connection, transforming suspicion into certainty. This evidence, when compiled, creates comprehensive revelation that cannot be fragmented or dismissed through standard neutralization tactics. It establishes causal links between public outcomes and hidden operations, between visible figureheads and invisible controllers, between implemented policies and concealed objectives. Your presence fundamentally alters the energetic composition of spaces designed for concealment. This transformation transcends physical renovation, operating at levels that reconfigure the spiritual atmosphere itself. Spaces previously dedicated to hiding evidence become repositories of revelation. Rooms where corrupt decisions were made become chambers where those decisions face exposure. Buildings constructed to intimidate become venues where truth speaks with authority that transcends architectural intimidation. This transformation progresses through multiple dimensions. Atmospheric recalibration, as your divinely aligned presence disrupts frequencies specifically engineered to support deception and suppress clarity. Your centered awareness introduces resonant truth that destabilizes established patterns of concealment, creating energetic environments where deception becomes increasingly difficult to maintain. Persistent questioning that bypasses rehearsed narratives, prepared deflections, and standard distraction tactics, penetrating to foundational contradictions. Their systems cannot resolve without revealing underlying deception. These questions create cognitive dissonance that their coordination mechanisms cannot neutralize in real time. Accountability, anchoring, that establishes new reference points within their systems. Truth standards that remain operative even after your physical departure, creating ongoing measurement criteria against which subsequent activities automatically register as aligned or non-aligned with established evidence. Transparency protocols that introduce documentation requirements, verification methodologies, and oversight mechanisms specifically designed to prevent resumed concealment. These protocols, once implemented, create self-perpetuating systems that continue exposing attempts at renewed deception. Witness activation, as your courage catalyzes similar courage in others positioned throughout their systems. Individuals who lacked framework for resistance finding demonstration through your example. This activation creates expanding networks of truth-tellers whose combined testimony overwhelms censorship capabilities. As individual sanctuary cities fall, ripple effects impact connected operations, compromising security protocols, triggering containment failures, and accelerating exposure across networked systems. What begins as isolated transparency spreads through their interconnected operations with increasing momentum. This transformation destroys the fundamental premise underlying all sanctuary cities, that power structures can permanently place themselves beyond accountability. Each transformed space demonstrates that no system of concealment, regardless of resources deployed, can withstand divinely ordained exposure when its appointed time arrives. Their remaining operations now face uncertainty. Their control systems cannot resolve. The question shifts from whether exposure will occur to when and how, a question their predictive models cannot answer when divine timing operates outside their algorithmic parameters. As their sanctuary defenses crumble, they deploy maximum counterattacks. Understanding their tactics provides critical preparation. Throughout history, chosen individuals faced consistent methods when threatening entrenched corruption. Character assassination, deploying pre-positioned narrative frameworks, activating automatically when exposure thresholds are crossed. These frameworks assign dismissive labels designed to neutralize credibility. Conspiracy theorist, mentally unstable, politically motivated, or simply dangerous. Isolation protocols, severing relationships through direct pressure on associates, manufactured controversies, creating social discomfort, and coordinated messaging making continued association appear risky. Financial strangulation through account closures, credit destruction, employment termination, client intimidation, audit targeting, and asset seizures, creating survival-level distraction from your mission. Legal entanglement generating process punishment through multiple simultaneous actions, requiring response, Cases designed not to win courtroom victories, but to deplete resources, fragment focus, and create documentation burdens, interfering with exposure activities. Psychological operations utilizing specialized tactics refined through decades of research, sleep disruption technologies, targeted electromagnetic influence, chemical intervention, and sophisticated gaslighting designed to induce doubt in your own perceptions. Against these attacks, your spiritual immunity provides protection, its identity anchoring in divine commission rather than social validation, ensuring external attacks against reputation cannot disrupt internal certainty. Perception. Clarity maintained through regular spiritual recalibration, clearing accumulated interference from psychological operations. Network resilience through connection, with similarly commissioned individuals operating on parallel tracks, providing confirmation and support during intense opposition. Historical perspective. Recognizing that every significant exposure of entrenched corruption faced similar counterattacks before vindication established new understanding. Supernatural provision. As resources appear through unexpected channels, precisely when conventional support appears eliminated, demonstrating your mission operates under protection, transcending their control systems. Beyond immediate exposure lies lasting transformation, new systems that prevent sanctuary cities from reforming. This legacy extends beyond your lifetime, creating foundational changes for generations. Your divinely commissioned actions establish transparency, infrastructure, rendering hidden operations perpetually visible, monitoring systems, documentation, requirements, and verification protocols functioning independently of individual oversight, accountability, frameworks, connecting actions directly to consequences regardless of position or influence, eliminating structural protections that previously allowed certain classes to operate beyond justice. Pattern recognition. Education enabling future generations to identify early indicators of forming sanctuary cities, subtle signs of developing corruption that can be addressed before reaching advanced stages. Spiritual recalibration across institutional structures, replacing frequencies tuned to suppression with resonance patterns, supporting awareness, clarity, and authentic human potential. Mentorship lineage. As you transfer understanding and methodologies to selected individuals carrying forward aspects of your commission, ensuring continuity beyond your direct involvement. This legacy creates healing throughout communities previously exploited, restoration of resources, rehabilitation of compromised systems, reconciliation of manufactured divisions, and recovery of suppressed capacities for self-governance. Your completed commission establishes peace within your consciousness, the certainty of purpose fulfilled and divine appointment honored. This internal peace transcends external circumstances, unshaken regardless of developments in visible systems. You stand at the threshold of history, positioned for this moment when sanctuary cities face divine judgment executed through individuals specifically selected and commissioned. Everything in your life prepared you for this moment. Every challenge developed capacity you now require, every insight sharpened perception now deployed in service to truth. You transform sanctuary cities into courts of divine judgment through aligned partnership with purposes that transcend human institutional boundaries. This is your moment. This is your commission. This is your legacy.